There's some people that they're not necessarily receptive as much to seeing their faults, and
Mm.
sometimes I wrestle with people throw out the word narcissism and stuff like that. I don't know the technical way to use it, but I know some people are just they have a very hard time at understanding that they might be the problem. And when you're in that situation, have you ever come across somebody that you felt like you just couldn't get them to see why something that they're doing is triggering their outcomes, and that they kind of refuse to see it as if there's something to change? Have you ever come across
Oh
that?
yeah, yeah. I'm so glad you mentioned that. And you actually kind of touched on this a little bit when you talked about people wanting to play the victim.
Yeah.
That's what that is. That's
Hmm.
that's all it is. And you mentioned narcissism, and that's a part of it too.
Yeah.
Because when you are unable to see and to actually fess up and to believing that you are a part of the problem, that is a huge problem.
That's what I do it for. You know I got motion. Even though I be joking, get to the bag. Got me waking that folks up. It's deep as the ocean. Been through the fire. It's got
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of We Gotta Speak On It with Quay. Listen, I appreciate you for hitting the button, hitting the start button on YouTube, on social media, wherever you see this at, because I got the pleasure of having a conversation today with somebody I truly admire, a brother that done put some work in on the ground and has truly made a name for himself. And I'm happy to even have him on the platform. So without further ado, we're going to have a good conversation. And I want you guys to understand that you about to get some real gems from this situation. So strap up your boots, get your popcorn, and you know what I mean, get your notes, whatever you got to do. Because I got my brother Sherman Green with me today. What's up, my brother? How you doing? Dr. Sherman Green, I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's good. It's all good. I'm doing great, man. Thank you so very much for having me on your show, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for coming first and foremost, because yeah, man. I mean, trust me, man. I want to make sure that my viewers and my listeners get opportunities to hear from a doctor, some of the opinions and some of the views, and so they can understand from a professional, point of view, how things are viewed and how things are treated with things that they are going through. Because a lot of people going through a lot, man.
Yeah,
People
yeah.
going, we in a time right now, man. People are going through a lot, and I think however we could, give them help any kind of way we can come together and unite and try to just kind of like put some type of band-aid on some of the situation as much as we can. I think is a good thing, right? You know,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
that's
I think it shows a lot that you have the heart and the awareness to even address these things. So much respect for you to even want to have these types of conversations and to seek out people to, have these conversations that other people can glean some information from. So much respect to you for that.
absolutely, man. I thank you, bro. I truly do, man. I feel like it's a calling that I have. I've always felt like, um, I've always felt like I had a mission to kind of somewhat,
Yeah.
bring people together, kind of fix problems. It's funny,
Hmm.
at an early age, I remember, calling they used to call me always, they used to call me Smiley because I used to always smile a lot when I was real young. But I always found myself being the middleman. I had friends that was real smart. I had
Hmm.
friends that was gangsters, that was
Yeah.
in the streets.
Yeah.
And I was always the man in the middle.
Yeah.
I was always the person rationalizing, trying to keep everything afloat. Like, hey man, y'all chill out, you know. And I find myself still being in that position. As a matter of fact, as you know, I do music too.
Hmm.
And my rap name, I call myself Quasar. So and the reason why is because Quasar is literally like a beam of light. It's a galactic term, a
Oh,
beam of light that comes out of the black hole, the Milky Way. It's kind of like the same analogy. Bringing light to a dark place, or somewhat, being
wow.
that calm in the middle of the storm, type situation. Yeah, man. So I appreciate that, man. Tell the people a little bit about yourself and the things that you've been able to achieve at this point, my brother.
Yeah, no problem. So again, Dr. Green from Jackson, Mississippi, born and raised, just a resident of Jackson. I've done most all things Jackson. Aside from going to college, I went to Mississippi State for all 3 degrees. I got my bachelor's in communication, my master's is in counseling, and my PhD is in college leadership. So I have worked in higher education for about 20 years at this point, and found myself at a really interesting place probably in about 2018 where I made the valiant decision to quit a job that I was working at, actually at a university in Jackson. And it wasn't necessarily my decision, it was more so God's decision. And he just basically told me to do it. So I followed through. And one of the things that he wanted me to do in fulfilling that part of his request is to start up something on my own. And so in 2018, I'd say around September 2018, I started my own life coaching profession called Strategic Directions. And in that capacity, I work with individuals and organizations. I help them to achieve goals and things that they've been wanting to accomplish for some time now. Funneling into that world from maybe 2019 until about now, I have found myself doing a lot of work in conflict resolution and mediation. So like you just kind of mentioned how you were kind of in the middle of, those two friend sets. I have also found myself in the middle of helping people solve their problems and try to figure out how to get through those really contentious spaces that sometimes people can be in. And I got a lot of clients like post-pandemic because we found ourselves in a really just chaotic place. We honestly haven't really left it a whole lot. So I've found myself to be really busy these days, kind of working in those spaces. But I enjoy the work. I love it. I love to see people win. That's kind of like my slogan, if I were to have one, a mental mantra. I like to see people win. It doesn't matter, what you want to accomplish or what you want to achieve. I want to see it happen for you. I want to serve as people's accountability partner, to get through life's challenges and to have for them to accomplish something that they really want to accomplish. So I've been in this space for quite some time and I love it. I enjoy, just kind of helping people figure things out, helping them create blueprints for their lives so that they can move forward on something that they really want to do. It's been really fulfilling. It's been really purposeful for me to be doing it.
Man, it's awesome, man. Listen, I just salute you so much. I admire it so much because first and foremost, you don't see, I mean, I don't know the numbers. I don't have the numbers on hand, but I'm pretty sure it's not a whole lot of black doctors, especially,
It's very low. It's very yeah. I think when I got my PhD and I was, brought into this world, I think it was said that less than 3% of black men have a PhD. And that was back in 2015. So it may have gone up a little bit more since then, but it's very, very low. Very low population of men.
That is amazing, and it puts you in very, very small company in rare form. I mean, because listen, it's a hell of an accomplishment, man. I just want to make sure I emphasize that because that is not a small, something to sneeze at.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but definitely something that I'm very proud of that I was able to achieve. So thank you.
Absolutely, and and you say you help a lot of people out. You help them direction when they're feeling like they can't move on. Is that also like relationship advice, like marriage stuff like that?
Yeah. So at any given time, like a client can reach out to me and have any type of goal that they're trying to accomplish. And I think we spoke on this, some days ago when we were just kind of preparing. I have clients that'll say something like, yeah, I want to get a divorce. And so I help them to plan out how they're going to get a divorce. Like, how does that look? Like, what are you going to do? What's the first step? How are you going to, separate the two lives that you all have? And how is that going to look? Are you going to relocate? Are you going to get a new job? Like all these types of things that people don't really think about when they're wanting to make a life decision. I'm there to help them and to create their blueprint, no matter what it looks like. If it's relationship, if it's career, if it's, something else, we figure that out. We work together and we just figure out a plan for it.
If somebody say they want a divorce, do you try to talk them out of it first? Or do you just go right into the exit plan?
That's a good question. So, what I do like to ask them is like, is this something that you're sure you're wanting to do? Because that's a fair question for any goal. right? If you haven't really thought about everything that is going to take place with this particular step, including like a divorce, that's a viable question to ask, because you're not saying that you're judging them for wanting to make this decision, but you are wanting to make sure that this is something that they really want to do. And there are times when I ask that question that they think about it and they think like, okay, well, I know I came in here wanting to talk about getting a divorce, but now that you've asked that, you've put a lot on my brain, and I may want to reconsider some of the things that we've talked about as a couple first before I, go down that road. But yeah, it allows for them to truly think about, what they're wanting to do, because that's a serious decision. It's not something that can be taken lightly.
Absolutely. Like, have you helped a lot of people get out of divorce, get out of marriages? Have you done that a lot, or just like every now and then?
I would say out of maybe the 5 to 6 clients that have come to me about specifically wanting to get out of a divorce, or to get a divorce, I should say, get out of a marriage, I would say probably half have said, I'm still going to go through on it, and the other half have reconsidered. So it's about 50-50.
Okay. So like in your estimate, what would you say would be the common theme as to why they want divorce? Would you say it's more? I know irreconcilable differences a lot of time what they say, but what appears to be driving more divorces in your opinion? What you're getting on average?
I think the sense of control. I think there's a balance that is not really met in marriages anymore, from what I've had clients kind of tell me to say. There's a controlling party somewhere, and that other party does not want to relinquish it, and it suffocates them, and it makes them want to just get out of it. Kind of like a domineering spirit, so to speak, like somebody just always, always, always having to have their way about something. Okay. And it gets to a point where it drives the other party just out of the relationship completely. Because they don't have the voice, they don't have the equal, capacity anymore. It's like either my way or no way. And, when you merge two lives, I mean, I'm not married, so I don't know that world, but I can only imagine merging two lives together. That takes a lot of compromise, and sometimes people aren't willing to do that. And sadly, people don't think about some of the things that kind of take place in a marriage. That's part of it. Compromising, being able to relinquish control and not having your way all the time. You got to meet somebody at the middle,
Yeah, absolutely. People want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want to be respected, right?
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
Right. So when that's not happening, they're going to feel unfulfilled, unhappy. They're going to feel like, absolutely. It makes perfect sense, man.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody who just heard you and say, okay, well, he's not married. How can he counsel someone who's married? What would you say to that?
That's a good question. Well, the thing about it is that, divorce is not like my main thing, but the clients that have come to me about it, I'm looking at their situation or their goal or their aspiration as just that. You can look at anything as a goal. It doesn't matter the subject of the material. It is what it is. And my job as a life coach is not to necessarily counsel. My responsibility is just to listen and to help them to find and achieve the answers that they want to fulfill. So I take myself out of it altogether, which helps me in situations or subjects like divorce that I don't really know a lot about because I'm not married, because it's not my journey, it's theirs. However, they see fit to accomplish whatever they want to achieve, it allows for me to step out of it altogether, because at the end of the day, I might think that's a bad idea. I don't think they should do that. But that's not my responsibility for them, because if they see it as a good idea and a good move for them in the future, that's their decision. And that's what it's going to be. So it's not anything to do with me. It's what they want to see and the ultimate goal that they want to pursue.
Absolutely. And I don't ask that question because I know how we live in a society, man, where everybody's so boisterous on the internet. And, I hear people say, well, if you're not this, you can't tell me. And I'm like, okay, well, you can get advice. You can learn from anybody if you want. If somebody's taking their time to study a situation, study something that they know, they have knowledge and background, history and statistics, and they can see tendencies, they know people, they most definitely can help you. But when people have these type of disqualifications, they limit themselves so much to getting help. And I'm like, yo, somebody that's been married 30 years don't have all the answers. They've probably been unhappy for 30 years or 20 years or whatever. So
Yeah.
just because that don't give them more credibility necessarily, just because they have a thing, you know. I just hate to say that,
I
but
think it was well needed. I'm glad you did say that because
yes,
there is somebody that's probably watching this that said exactly what you just said.
you know, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
We gonna tackle it. We not gonna run from it, you know.
Right.
But but absolutely, man. Man, you when you started your practice in 2018, COVID hit basically right after that, like
It
almost.
did. Oh yeah.
How did that affect your business as a whole, and what kind of clients, what kind of people were you dealing with around that time that were affected by the COVID and the thing? Can you speak to that a little bit?
Man, absolutely. Thank you for asking it because, man, that was a tumultuous time. Like, I got sucker punched because
Mm,
I had, actually, I'll give you a little bit more context. So, when I did quit that job in 2018, I didn't get my first contract till like 2019. And so I lived off of my savings for probably about 8 months, 8 to 9 months.
mm,
I didn't get my very first contract until like April of 2019. And so when I got it, like I was getting it. So all of 2019, from that point on, I was getting it. And March 2020 hit, like you mentioned, the pandemic. It was like a rude awakening to like this new world that we were about to experience, right? So the game plan that I had for myself had to strategically change because I had to change the way in which I was seeing clients because at that point I was doing a lot of one-on-one and physical outreach, going to organizations and doing trainings and doing all these types of things in person. And as you know, and as we're doing this right now, that's when that virtual space started to, come full forward. But it took me probably about 4 to 5 months to get a game plan as to how I was going to continue to see clients. And around that time, as you probably remember, a lot of the things that these businesses and organizations said that we can't do. Oh, we can't do that. You can't work from home. You can't do all those things went out the window, man. And then so they started allowing for people to work, virtually and remote. And, resources like this and Zoom and other virtual spacings allow for us to continue to keep working and thriving. And I had to really pivot my way of doing the things that I was doing in person to a virtual space. And I would say probably around 2022, we started kind of lightening up for a while, but 2020, 2021, I definitely just lived in the virtual space. And around 2022 is when I started to get back to doing a little bit of a hybrid practice where I was doing some things virtually, some
yes.
things were done, physically. And of course, everything is, kind of back to normal now. But the types of clients that I was seeing was basically those ones that were, adapting to the new way of life, who had the capacity to do virtual settings. If you couldn't do it virtually, how about doing stuff on a phone call? Who were those people that were still actively willing to pursue being able to make the changes that they wanted in their lives and still having the resources to do it? Thankfully, I was able to really connect with organizations and businesses that allow for me to come into their areas in a remote space. And I would start getting clients from those organizations. So they would hear me speak about something, that they wanted me to talk about in a training capacity, whether it was communication or leadership or conflict resolution. And they would say, you know what? I want to reach out to this guy in an individual way. And I want to see, what he can help me do for the things that I want to do.
Okay.
And so it was almost like I got a 2 for 1. Sometimes I would get, work with doing other organizations. Sometimes I would get work doing stuff in that organization, but working with some of those individuals from those organizations. And so it just really just spiraled in a way that I did not even anticipate when I was able to get in that remote space. And now that I kind of got the best of both worlds doing stuff physically and also virtually, it's easy gravy now. Like, cause I mean, it's just like a way of life but that wasn't the way it was for a long time. It took me about like 5 months to pivot and to get in this space.
That's amazing, man. Yeah, it's amazing because a lot of people, a lot of businesses didn't survive during that time. You know, like you was able to kind of like almost, maximize with it a little bit. You know, being virtuous,
It
like you
was some
said, made
scary
you more
times.
expandable.
Yeah, it was some scary times. I think there were several times when, you know, being faced with, being an entrepreneur, a small business owner, you have that fear like, man, what did I just do? Like, did I do the wrong thing and getting into this space now? That was a lot of my thoughts in 2020 when things had just started. So it took some time and it was a lot of faith. I'll be honest, I'm a very spiritual person and it required a lot of faith to just see it through and to let God just kind of handle it.
That's awesome, man. What would you say is one of your most common things that you find yourself solving? One of your common complaints or issues that you have to solve, help people solve.
Yeah, so that's a really good question as well. I would say that a lot of times people have issues with other people who are just like them. So,
Mm,
for example, and I can't use names, I obviously wouldn't do
right.
that, but
Hmm.
I was brought in to do some work with this organization, and they had started this business as like, friends wanting to, execute something at the same time.
Hmm.
But what really got them in conflict with each other is that they were all wanting to be the boss. And they all had like this alpha female mentality. Like they were just like, nah, it's got to be this. Nah, it's got to be this. Nah, it's got to be this. And it worked for them as friends. But as business partners, it was not healthy. So coming into that situation and just kind of noticing that they had similarities, they all were complaining about some of the same things, getting to the bottom and the root cause of those things kind of helped us be able to work some things out. And I think they're at a better place now as relates to that. But I think that's been kind of the common denominator in a lot of the conflicts. People generally have conflict with people that are just like them and they don't like it. And
Hmm.
so it's amazing that when I have conversations with people and I say, I think it's interesting that you share this same type of personality, but yet you all don't get along.
Right.
And that's kind of like the way that we kind of ease into, getting to the bottom of the conflict because that's part of it. Like when you can have similarities with somebody that are good, that's
Hmm.
fine. But some of the things that can combat you and keep you back and not being productive, that's where it gets really dicey. So that's been one of the common factors that I found is that a lot of people tend to have conflict with people who are just like them. And then there are instances where people, again, don't want to relinquish control. They want to be the boss of everything. They want to have things their way. And then there may be somebody who may not have that mentality, so to speak. They may let them kind of go along to get along, but it's only so long that that person will allow for that to take place before they feel like, all right, enough is enough. And then they
Right.
just explode, you know?
Yeah.
All this verbal diarrhea starts coming out, and the other person is looking like, man, where all this stuff come from? But they've been
Right.
holding on to it for so long that there was a breaking point that everything just kind of went awry at that point.
Right. 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 Were you always able to solve problems all the time? Like, you ever have a situation where you weren't able to solve it, or there was some other factor that made it almost impossible for you to help?
Well, I would say most times, having the conversations with the parties allows for me to come in and help find a resolution. There was one that I don't think I could necessarily get accomplished because it did happen right at the onset of the pandemic.
Okay.
So I had been working with this organization for almost a year. And then when March 2020 rolled around, their efforts to kind of resolve the situation, they didn't really care about it at that point. So I don't even know what happened with that. But I would say that most things that I've been able to, kind of sit, observe, listen, and serve as a mediator for, I've been able to kind of get through some of it. Now, has it been easy? No, it has not been easy. I
Right.
have to roll up my sleeves a lot of times because, the conflict has reached a point where they got to call me in because it's gotten so far in that nobody else can handle it. They for sure cannot handle it. An
Right.
outside party has to come in and clean it up at that point, and that's difficult work. Now it's super difficult. It's not easy by any means.
So you the cleanup man.
I'm kind
I
of a
got you.
cleanup man, man. I'm kind of a cleanup man, kind of sort of man. It's like, man, wait a minute, but
Yo,
it's rewarding. When we can get to the end of it and you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's rewarding because it's like, all right, we were able to get this back on track.
that's it, man. But a lot of people right now, like I was saying earlier, we live in a time where, the country is going through a lot of stuff, not to get into politics, but it's a lot of things going on. People are stressed about a lot of things. Things are higher, gas, inflation, groceries expensive. And people are just stressed in general. I mean, I know a lot of things like that stem from places that go beyond work a lot of time, come from their home, stuff like that. Are there things that you think that people maybe could be doing at home, maybe to prevent themselves from falling into these deep depressions, stuff like that? These states of feeling like they just want to give up, because there are people that actually like I don't want to say the word, but they want to take themselves out a lot. I mean, there's people that I'm hearing this kind of language a lot, and I really want to speak. If you can speak to the thought and how maybe some things they can do to help them realize that it should never have to come to that point, and life is worth being lived.
I think something that's coming out of my head is mainly like we got to be able to talk to each other. And we have to have the availability to talk to someone that can truly actively listen. This is something that I've noticed just in people in general. People engage in conversation and listen not to actually listen to that person, but to respond right back. And I think if people can talk to other people and feel as though what they're saying is being heard and valued, that goes a long way. That can help somebody not want to take their own life. I've had several conversations with individuals, and it's been mainly black men, if I'm being honest with you,
It's
who
good.
can come to me and feel like I'm going to listen to them because they know that I will. Because I would rather talk to that young man or that black man before they make a terrible decision to take themselves, in a place that's gonna, not end well, rather than have them do that very thing. And I make myself available, I make myself available to anybody that wants to talk and want to be actively heard. And, if they can be helped, help them. I don't think that there's enough out there for people to say that I feel comfortable taking this problem to somebody because I don't feel like it's going to be worth anything. I don't want to burden anybody with my problems. That's something that I hear a lot. I know you got a lot going on, so I don't want to add to you. And it's like, nah, that's not the mentality that people should have. It's like, no, whatever you got going, I want to listen to it so I can help you get out of this place. And if that means, countless times where I'm listening and you're not, giving yourself that suggestion anymore, then I think that's worth it in my opinion. I also think just kind of making wise decisions, right? So if you know the income that you're making and you are superseding that amount of money every month, and you know that we're dealing with a lot of stuff right now, economy wise, why would you put yourself in a situation where you cannot actively sustain some of the things that you need to sustain right now?
That's a good point.
So
Yes, sir.
I think having that mentality and that mindset of just doing more with less has worked out a lot for me. I don't live outside my means. If I know that I cannot afford so and so right now, and we got everything going crazy right now, then I don't need to do that. I need to put myself on a budget. I need to make myself accountable for the actions and the decisions that I'm making. Because at the end of the day, we are all given 24 hours each day.
Yes.
It's up to you to make the right decisions in that time frame, so that you can actively live the life that you're supposed to live. And I think that goes a long way as well. And then also just kind of seeking advice from wise people, looking at people who, seemingly have, the finances in order, or, kind of making the right stances. Reach out to people, reach out to people who are making the decisions that you want to make, so that you can be, kind of led and just properly funneled in the right direction. And that kind of goes with knowing your company, knowing the people that you're around. Are you in company where people are, doing stuff that is positive, that's forthcoming, that's going to bear much more fruit? Or are you hanging around negative people? You around people that are constant naggers, that just want to nag and complain about stuff, and if they see somebody doing well, they're talking down on them. Like, why are you hanging around people like that? I think all of that is something
Yes.
that I would share and tell with people. Like, listen, we're going through a lot right now. You might want to just kind of focus on some of these things and see where you are with it. Are you hanging around good people? Are you making bad decisions? Are you not actively seeking counsel from people who can help and listen to you? Like, where are you? What are you surrounding yourself with at this point in life?
Absolutely, man. Listen, everything you're saying is the gospel, because I know you. Obviously, you're the doctor. That's why you're the doctor. See, I'm seeing the doctor. But absolutely, man. I just think that your environment, oh man, it's so powerful. Like you said, to be able to surround yourself with people who are going to somewhat, uplift you, help you, inspire you to be at your highest and your best self, versus take you down the opposite direction. There's so many people who, like you said, they're victims of their own decisions. They're basically laying in the bed that they made, and due to a collection of bad decisions, bad choices, and sometimes people they want to blame somebody else, but sometimes the only person that's going to that you can blame, that's responsible for fixing it, is the person in the mirror. So you can't, obviously we know that you can't do nothing. You can't change nothing until you first recognize there's a problem.
Man.
And like you say, you talk to somebody, being able to, for some reason, counseling, and I know in the Black community in general, is kind of a shunned upon thing, going to getting counsel. Talk to me about that. What do you think about that? Have you experienced maybe trying to help some people, or maybe some people weren't receptive to hearing counsel from outside? Go ahead.
Man, I hate that. I hate that that's the taboo in our community. I hate it so much because, and I go back to the thing that we're told, you don't air your dirty laundry out to people. Like, you don't do that. You keep that stuff in and blah, blah. And that's terrible. That's the worst advice to possibly give somebody. Because we're essentially saying that, what we've dealt with, the trauma that we've dealt with, is a badge
Keep it
of honor.
inside.
And it's not. It's not a badge of honor. I can't tell you how many times I've had to tell Black men in particular, older than me, who wear their trauma as a badge of honor. And I'm like, dude, that ain't nothing to be proud of. You should have been talking to somebody years ago about this, because the trauma that we hold on to impacts the decisions that we make for our future. And a lot of times, and I'm going to include everybody in this, like the Black community, a lot of times when we don't handle the issues that we have, we are only passing on the dysfunction in some type of way. It may not be the same in our children, but it's going to show up in a different type of way. Whereas let's say somebody is witnessing their father beat their mother. They may not consciously say, okay, when I get married, this is what I'm going to do to my wife. But maybe when they do get married, they talking trash to her at all times. They speak to them terribly, because, that's their form of abusive nature that, sticks out to them. They may not want to hit her, but they may talk down to her because of the environment that they grew up in. And so they didn't see anything wrong with it because they saw it in their families. So they just essentially passed it down.
Right.
And then it continues to kind of go down and spiral. But what I like to tell people about counseling is that if you can make the decision to go to counseling, you are freeing yourself up from experiencing trauma, working through your issues, and truly giving yourself a chance to be free. Because we hold on to a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff kind of comes from that childhood perspective. We don't think we carry it, but we really do. And as we grow into these adults and we start getting into these careers and we start, smelling ourselves, it can come off in terrible ways if we haven't, necessarily dealt with some of those traumas. I always tell people I got counseling probably 20 years ago. I started maybe a little over 20 years ago.
Wow.
And during that time, I didn't think I had a problem. But every week I would go, I figured out, I got problems. I got issues. People see this smile and they see my personality, but they don't know the things I've dealt with, right? And so working those things through with my therapist, I was able to, shrug this stuff off, become a better person, working those things that I was struggling in. And it really helped me tremendously to a point now where when I see it in other people, I've worked in higher ed for quite some time. I can see it in people and I can just kind of see some of their issues and I just listen to them. And I just say to them, okay, now you told me a lot and this is a non-judgmental space. Trust me, we're good. But have you thought about getting therapy? And they were like, oh, no, I don't need therapy. I'm like, nah, you might want to consider getting some therapy, man, because the stuff you're talking about, there's clearly some trauma going on. And so I think it takes people kind of, soliciting therapy. Like therapy is not bad. It's not a bad thing. I found in particular with Black men, I have to say that because they feel like, oh man, if I go to therapy, man, people think I'm crazy and I'm gonna be less than, I'm not gonna be seen as a real man. I've been told all my life to hold this stuff in and just handle it. But doing all that stuff for years and years and years has been killing us because we're not dealing with it. We're not talking about it. We're not, saying to that person, listen, man, I'm worried about you. I want you to go see somebody. We're not having those conversations and we're killing ourselves in the process. So every opportunity that I get, I am telling people, listen, sounds like you got a lot going on. Have you thought about seeing a therapist? And, this is against life coaching because the life coaching and therapy are two different things, right? Therapy is involved with working on the whole person, getting past trauma, getting past issues so you can become a better person. Life coaching is taking where you are right now, present, whatever, taking where you are right now, moving you forward and achieving what you want to accomplish for your future self. And doing that. That's what life coaching is. Sometimes I have to take off that hat, put it down, put on my therapy hat, and just listen because I at least feel like for them to talk to me is better than them holding it in and not being able to, relinquish some of those things that's bogging them down. It doesn't happen often, but I can count, I really can't count my fingers, countless times, I should say. I've had people just come up to me and just spill their whole life story to me. Like a sign is on my face. It's like, hey, come talk to me, come talk to me. But it just happens. But I feel better at least that they're coming to me and they're able to get some of that stuff out. Kind of what I mentioned earlier, just being able to listen, actively listen. But I would rather them do that than not. So I always solicit counseling. It's a great resource. I think anybody should do it. Everybody needs it. If you say you don't need it, you probably definitely need it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm listening to you talking. I'm just laughing because I'm not a counselor, but I've been driving the bus. I'm a bus driver, bus operator. Been driving the bus for about 20, almost 25 years total. And the weirdest thing is, man, is I feel like I've always, again, I told you about coming up and being a person that always was the middleman and bringing people together. I feel like I've always been in a counseling space because I was a barber before I was a bus driver, and people just like you said,
Yeah.
they feel free to
Yep.
just talk to me about things, and they're able to
Yeah.
just tell me about their situations, and I find myself giving advice. People I haven't seen in years might say, "Man, I remember we had this conversation, and you told me this. Man, I really needed to hear that at the time, you know." And you don't know. Well, for me, you know, the people that you impact, you know, with giving them, you know, saying things and you know that they need to hear and trying to help. You know, it's just such an awesome thing. I can only imagine the amount of people that you've helped in your practice. And there's some people, you know, you come across, and I don't know if you've experienced this, but there's some people that you know they're not necessarily receptive as much to seeing their faults, you know, and
Mm.
sometimes I wrestle with you know people throw out the word narcissism and stuff like that. I don't know the technical way to use it, but I know some people are just they have a very hard time at you know at understanding that they might be the problem. And when you're in that situation, have you ever come across somebody that you felt like you just couldn't get them to see why something that they're doing is triggering their outcomes and that they kind of refuse to see it as if there's something to change? Have you ever come across
Oh
that?
yeah, yeah. I'm so glad you mentioned it. And you actually kind of touched on this a little bit when you talked about people wanting to play the victim.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Hmm.
That's all it is. And you mentioned narcissism, and that's a part of it too.
Yeah.
Because when you are unable to see and to actually fess up and to believing that you are a part of the problem, that is a huge problem. You know, I watch Judge Judy. That's like one of my guilty pleasures. You know, I watch the reruns.
Me
I just
too.
be all in, man. Like,
We
and
got
she
the
got
same
the
hobby.
show,
The same,
you
yeah.
know what I'm saying? Justice. Something I watch that too. But something that I love when she does is that she points out people's parts in this situation. Like you did this, you did this, you did this, and you can just see that defendant just cowering because they hate being called out on something that they've done and they can't face it. And she'll say something like, you're trying to play the victim here, sweetie, but you're not the victim. You're not the victim. These are things that you did. You left your dog what do you call it?
Chain. Your
Unleashed,
collar.
unchained.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. You were the one who did that. This is your dog. This is your responsibility. And so, yeah, I have experienced that before. And what I do in those situations is I have them to explain to me, okay, everybody has said this about you. Nobody has changed what they've, everybody has said it. You tell me how each and every one of these people that have said this thing, tell me how they are wrong. And when they start talking, they start flibbering. They start just, and I'm saying that now, you can't even vocalize to me a factual answer.
Mm.
So what does that mean? And so they'll generally, you know, kind of grimace and look sour, and then they'll find a way that, you know, doesn't relinquish that pride that they may have towards it. They'll find a way to say, well, I guess I can see how they say that. You know, it'll be something like that. But I think the thing that's important to do is that you gotta put it in their face. When people don't want to admit something, facts are facts. And I don't care if 10 people have said the same thing about you. You can never say that 10 people saying the same thing are wrong. I even say three or four.
Right.
Not everybody in that circle is going to be wrong in saying something about something that you've done or behaviors that you have. Like, nah, this is a you thing. This is something that you have to come to grips with. But I do give credit to the individuals who do come to the point of knowing that their narcissism and their victim mentality has led them into believing that they are never at fault for their own actions. I give a lot of credit to those people because it takes a lot. They have to relinquish the power, the control, the ego, the narcissism. All these things have to be just kind of let go in order for them to actually see that I am the problem. I'm part of the problem. But I do say to anybody, if you know anybody that fits the bill for this, you definitely do not need to have them in your life.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because, like you said, people, you know, if they're not getting help, they're bleeding all over the place. They kind of
Oh,
and you just become, something, a reckon that's in their path that's getting destroyed because, everybody got to create boundaries and protect themselves, right? And like you say, when you have people that's not willing to even change to stop hurting you,
Right.
obviously you have to do something different. But man, just talking to you, just hearing you break this stuff down, man, I know a lot of people need to understand and hear these things, and I'm just trying to think of ways how people can take this and apply it to their daily life, and actually like use it because they need to understand that, these type of situations, this is everyday life that everybody's dealing with. There's somebody everybody know right now that's a narcissist. There's somebody that everybody know that's probably taking too much or not setting boundaries properly, not you know what I mean, and they're being victimized, if not somebody else that's victimizing somebody else. So
Yeah.
and these people typically both need help, and like you said, the counseling that you provide is something that is going to help both of these sides of people, and stuff like that. So yeah, it's important, man. It's very important.
Very,
Um,
very.
Something else I want to bring up though, and you didn't mention it by the way, but I'm gonna mention it. I saw you doing, you were singing in church.
Yeah.
I said, this guy has a voice. Blew my mind. I didn't even know. I'm like, dude, wait a minute.
Not a second or another minute, not an hour or another day, but at this moment with my arms outstretched, I need you to make a way as you have done so many times before. Through a window or open door, I stretch my hands to thee. Come rescue me. I need you right away. I need you now. I need you now. I need you now. I need you now. Oh, not another second or another minute, not an hour or another day, but Lord, I need you right away.
Like, how long have you been singing like that? Obviously,
Oh
since you've been
man.
born, right?
Man, I think I started around 14.
Hmm.
So this was, around 1995 or so, something like that. But actually, I mean, I knew I could sing for a very long time, but I was kind of shy with it at first because I just, I didn't really think it was that big of a deal. But when I got into high school was when I started kind of really focusing on, singing. I was in the choir, led solos and all these other types of things. And as a fellow musician, you start writing songs, you start kind of getting out there and recording and doing all these things. So I've actually, recorded, some material. It's not gospel, but everybody seems to think I'm a gospel singer, but that's fine. Well, maybe it's like an aura that I give. I don't know, but it's been primarily R&B that I've
Hmm.
done, and I may, definitely go into singing gospel or inspirational music, whatever the case may be. But yeah, it's been a huge part of my life for a very long time. I think it's important to use the talents that we've been given. I never want to lose it. I never want to take it for granted. Never want to misuse it. I'm at a place now in life where I have recorded R&B and I've made some trends in it for some time now. But I'm at a place where if God doesn't want me to have it, then I don't want it.
Okay.
So I'm kind of in this space where, like, however He wants me to use it, that's how I'm going to use it. So in that clip that you saw, That was the "I Need You Now" song by Smokey Norfolk.
Yes, sir.
That's a song that is like near and dear to my heart because, I can just remember hearing it and how it would minister to my heart. And so, just kind of being in that place with that song allows me to minister to a lot of people who, need to hear it and need to just kind of, understand how close it is, how important it is for us to be close to God and to, just lean on Him in everything that we do. But yeah, man, music is a big part of my life. I love all genres of music. I'm looking forward to recording and doing more things. Knock, knock. I'm knocking King Quay.
I got you. Oh, we're gonna make it happen. We're gonna make it happen.
We're gonna have to make it, and we got it on on a record here on a platform.
Absolutely. Everybody
can say it.
watching, be
Right.
on the lookout. We will
That's right.
we will collab on something real
Yeah.
soon. You're gonna see Quasar and Dr.
Yeah.
Sherman Green.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's it. Yeah. So no, it's important. I've been loving it for quite some time, man.
Absolutely, man. Listen, I think it's awesome. And that song that I Need You Now is a beautiful song, man. I mean,
It
that's
is.
one of the most beautiful songs I've heard. Overall, yeah, that's a crazy song.
Powerful. It's powerful. It
It's
really
very
is.
powerful, man. Because we like I said, we all need God. We need the help. We need the power, the strength to get through. I mean, like I said, man, a lot of people can, you know, we all have bouts that we fight. We up and down. A lot of times, nobody's exempt from the trials and tribulations of life, man. And I think that the low moments that we go through, it's important that we remember who we are and whose we are, and we kind of try to connect back to the source. Have a sense of gratitude for everything that we do have and everything we made it through, because a lot of people didn't make it.
Man.
A lot of folks ain't make it to this point, so we got to be thankful, man, and try to let that carry us to to a better day. But
Oh yeah.
man, listen. Well, as a matter of fact, you put out music already, though. Your actual name is Sherman Green on Apple Music and everything.
So my stage name, I'm just like you. I had a stage name. So my stage name is just S Green. So it's like S. Green. So you
That's
can
what I wanted to
go
know.
on Apple Music. You can go on Amazon, Spotify. Type in S. Green, and you can just see the music that I've put out. And something that I need to hold myself accountable for. I can hold other people accountable. I can't hold myself accountable. What is that? I'm trying to get an EP established, and I can see it being done by this year. I just got to make sure that I follow through on what I need to do to make that happen. But, I want to put out an EP, have about 5 songs, maybe 6 songs, just to kind of, put it out there. Yeah, just looking forward to seeing where things go with it and, just continuing to use what I got, man. I know you know
Absolutely.
that feeling all too well.
Yes, I can't wait to hear it. I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna play it all day, every day. Me, I'm the biggest fan. Because you got a voice, man. The voice is
I
beautiful, like
appreciate
I
it,
said.
man.
And
I
especially the
appreciate
last song you did as well. I enjoyed that as well. But yeah, man, everybody be on the lookout for that collab. It is coming.
It's coming.
Quasar and S. Green.
There you go.
S. Green and Quasar. We definitely got a collab we'll be working on
Yep.
right. Man, this has been awesome. I truly think that the conversation was needed. I think that a lot of different things needed to be touched on. And hopefully people can take from this and can definitely learn and apply to their life, like I said earlier, stuff like that. And I'm looking forward to bigger and better things from the future, man, for real.
Both of
We
us. I'm saying it for both of us.
absolutely, and we may have to come back to the table again soon and maybe talk about some more things, because it's a lot of things we saved for later.
Right.
So maybe we'll get into some more a little
Yeah.
bit later. I don't want to take my man all his time.
We can't do it all in one day. Like I know we had that mindset to do it, but we can do it, bit by bit type of fashion and talk about more things, but I would love to do it. Again, I just appreciate you for creating this platform and allowing for discussions like this that are much needed to be shared with your audience because it is much, much needed. So the fact that you have the heart and the mindset and the desire to make it happen, much respect to you for doing it.
Absolutely. And anybody who you want to contact Dr. Sherman Green for some help, for some information, I will be putting his information in the description. So be on the lookout for that. And also his social media platforms, Dr. Sherman Green. How can they find you again? Social media?
Sure. So on Instagram, you just type in Dr._S Green. Oh, I'm sorry, Dr._Green_SD. That's for strategic directions. And if you want to go to my website, which is probably the primary thing where you can find all my other social media platforms, just go to drsgreen.com and you can find all of my social media outlets right there.
Absolutely. So, hey, there you have it. And, hey, man, with that, without further ado, I truly, again, I appreciate you. I can't say it enough. And thanks. Next time we're going to meet again. Thanks for watching, everybody. Look, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button if you didn't hit it already. And leave a comment. Tell me what you think about what you saw. And until next time, holla at your boy. All right, brother. I'll see you later. Peace.
That's what I do it for. You know I got motion. Even though I be joking, get to the bag. Got me waking at 4 something. It's deep as the ocean. Been through the fire. It's got